So for this to be solved.
We're good.
All right, we're good. Good morning, everyone. Morning. Again, excellent. I'd like to welcome you all to the Unitarian Universalist Fellowship of Pottstown. And I just closed my script. I think I would read it after all this time. Unitarian Universalist Fellowship of Pottstown has been around for over 50 years. We're getting close to 60 now. Is that right? And we've always been kind of a place where people can come together, people who have the same faith or different faiths, or don't believe in God, but believe in people. We believe that facts and faith are not either or. We believe that we can honor the wisdom of the past without repeating the mistakes of the past. And one of the ways that we honor the past is by learning from it rather than repeating it. But perhaps most importantly, and this is the one I repeat every single week, we believe that no one is outside the circle of justice and compassion. We have compassion for everyone, no matter what they believe, no matter who they are, no matter where they're from, no matter who they love. We believe that everyone matters, every single person. We come together on Sunday mornings, not because of a creed that tells us we have to, but because we decided to promise to one another that we could support each other on our spiritual journey. Our services are really different each week, but the loving kindness we offer in this building, always the same. So whoever you are, wherever you are, whomever you love, we are so glad you chose to be with us today. Now it is time for an announcement. If you have an announcement, please come on up to the microphone and please remember to introduce yourself, because not everybody might know your name.
Kind of a strange announcement. Hi, I'm Kay. I have sort of a bag full of pawpaws here. And I don't know if everybody knows what a pawpaw is, but it's a native tropical fruit to the United States. And they have to eat them pretty much right away. So that's why they're not in the grocery stores. They look really ugly, and the uglier they are, the better they taste. So if anybody wants to have some pawpaws, just see me after. All right. You're number one. Okay, thank you.
Good morning, I'm Sam. I'm the Facilities and Grounds Co-Chair. I will be as brief as possible. I didn't want to talk apparently. We had the fire extinguishers exchanged out Thursday with a new service. The previous company gentleman retired, which I didn't know, so that was why they never told that. There was an initial charge of a little over $300 to come in and replace them. There will be annual servicing that's around $175 per year. So they'll come in and look at it, but they're all done. Segueing into Monica's thing, what I would like to do is within the next 2 or 3 weeks, since she's doing the safety committee, is go over how to use them. I had the young guys show me how to use them, so we can do that, and I can talk about evacuation for fires. I'm not going through the whole thing. I can do that. The other thing is, there were a couple people or several people that weren't able to make last Saturday's cleanup. So this Saturday, between probably around 9:30, I will be here. I know that Lori wants to come, Ruby wants to come, and finish up hitting up the front flower beds. John Price took care of the yellow jackets, so hopefully they're gone. So, in regards to that, somebody that parked in the back may have seen the huge pile of chips. If people want to come Saturday and spread that over the kids' playground, that would be great. We have wheelbarrows, we have shovels. I'll be here at around, like I said, around 9:30, and I can stay until people are done. Okay, there may be a few more things on the outside that need to be done, but I'll have to look around at that and see. I think that's it.
Good morning, everyone. I'm Irene, I'm your social justice action chair here at UUFB, and getting a little chipper today after the wonderful culinary event we had last night. Thank you all for putting it together, and I think I can speak for all who were here. Last night, it was just out of this world. So yeah, it's nice to see everyone here, nice and chipper as myself. Onto the social justice initiatives. Today, we are holding our social justice action circle directly following our service in a social hall at the social justice table. I think we can all agree there's a lot going on right now, so please pull up a chair, join us today, and we look forward to discussing some action pieces that we can take as a community here. On that front, on October 18th, Saturday at 10 a.m., we are looking to join another rally in Potsdam. More information is going to follow. I'll be following up with an email. If you are not receiving my social justice emails, please stop by today and provide your information, because I really want to see a big showing up on this October 18th event, right, Kay? Right. Yes, we have a megaphone, we're ready to go. So I really hope to get as many people involved as possible. And lastly, our vice president of the board, Chad, and myself are putting up an authors event here. It's going to be a great literary event with great conversation with a lot of social justice focus. We're going to have an author, Israel Galon, here, who is an educator and a social justice activist, presenting his newly published book. And we also will have our own Chad presenting his also newly published book, that's A Word Nightingale. So we hope to see you all there on September 25th at 6:30 p.m. Thank you very much. Yes, sir.
Hi, America, and I'm running an ongoing fundraising in the social hall. There's some cards, handmade cards in a little display. And the suggested donation for them is on the back, and all of it goes to UUFB.
Wonderful that we're so busy and we have so many things to involve. I love that. So the same technology that's to make the far flung corners of the world feel closer, that allows us to have this Zoom that goes out into the world after we are no longer in the building. That can also divide us if we're listening to our devices go off when we're in the service together. So this is the time when I remind you to put the mode into worship mode if it's not there already. And then I'll invite you to take a deep breath. Settle more firmly into your chair. To feel yourself rooted to the place where we are. To listen to the quiet movements of the people around us. And listen to the sound of the children. Chimes, it keeps ringing, even if you can't really hear it anymore. Just like your one little function might keep going on in the world, even if you haven't done it, it's done. So now I would like to introduce the first hymn, actually. May nothing evil cross this door. It's number 1 in the Great Hymn. Oh, go ahead. So please stand as you are willing and able by one spirit. That's something that I feel like our walls really do well to hold all of them up. So JD Stillwater, our speaker today, you're always lucky to have him back, he's one of our favorites. He moves and inspires thousands of people all over North America and the globe with science-centered messages of awe and kinship. From Chautauqua Institution to Sinai and Synapses Fellowship, to the Parliament of the World's Religion, to academic conferences and civic clubs. With a gift for making difficult concepts graspable for average people, JD continues his decades-long career as a science educator, sharing insights from mainstream conventional science as a source of unifying inspiration from all ages and stages. Darn it. I'm so sorry. That's it. Thank you. Welcome and be welcome.
Had a good summer, sort of, maybe. I think it's been the whole summer since I was here, so I'm really glad to be back. I love being here. Our opening words this morning come from none other than Reverend Fred Rogers. From his book, Dear Mr. Rogers, Does It Ever Rain in Your Neighborhood? Letters to Mr. Rogers. And he wrote in that book, quote, to love someone is to strive to accept that person exactly the way he or she is right here and now. And to go on caring through joyful times and through times that may bring us pain. End quote. Let us worship together. Our chalice lighting this morning. Do we have someone? Are you gonna light it? You know what you're doing? All right, come on out. Flame. Flame. It sometimes symbols fiery rage or zeal or even destruction. Sometimes flame is a symbol of divinity and a passion for divinity. Let this flame rekindle our commitment to truthful knowledge and love. Truthful knowledge and love, which, when united, give the light of wisdom. And now it's time for the story for all ages, and I don't have the actual book, but it's a great story. So I'm going to ask you to stay where you are. I'm going to cue up the slides, and then we'll start. Here's some. I think I got it this time. Thank you for the help. So this is a book called Phoenix Gets Greater by Marty Wilson Trudeau and illustrated by Megan Kayak Monteith. And this book is based on the childhood experiences of the author's son named Phoenix. And Marty demonstrates the difference that a loving and supporting family can make. This is Phoenix. His mom and brother love him very much. And check it out. Phoenix found his mom's pink fluffy blanket and took it with him everywhere. At the toy store, Phoenix loved to look at the dolls with all the pretty, colorful fabrics. As soon as he got home, he wrapped a towel around his head and pretended that he had long hair too, swishing it around. Phoenix learned to spin, to swish, and swirl so well, even his ballet teacher was impressed. At powwows, he'd twirl and twirl. But Phoenix loved shawl dancing best. He put his fluffy blanket on his shoulders, went up on his tiptoes, and danced like a beautiful butterfly. But sometimes Phoenix had a hard time at school because other kids thought it was strange that he didn't act like the rest of the boys in his class. Phoenix didn't have friends who liked hockey or trucks or bulldozers. He made friends with those who liked dolls and dancing too. It takes a lot of courage to be yourself and to stand up to others, his mom told Phoenix. And his brother tried to protect him at school, but Phoenix felt so sad that he stopped dancing and playing with dolls. He even stopped twirling around his house. One day he sat down with his mom and his brother, crying. He told them, "I'm tired of hiding who I am. I'm not like the other boys in my class. I feel different. I am different." Phoenix told his family he was gay. "I hope you won't stop loving me and accept me for who I am." Phoenix's mom and brother pulled him close and they started to cry too. "We will never stop loving you," Phoenix's mom said. "We love exactly who you are. And for that, you make us happy. I am so proud of you." "There's nothing wrong with being different," his brother comforted. "All that matters is that you're happy." "We all carry a spirit inside us, his mother explained. "It gives us life and guides us. But in our Anishinaabe culture, there are two-spirit people, Maniduar, who have both boy and girl spirits inside them. Nij is our word for two, and Maniduag means spirit. That makes you extra special because you think and feel like both boys and girls. And our communities have great respect for two-spirit people. Their wisdom, healing ways, and visions help our communities, and they love to dance and twirl just like you." Phoenix couldn't believe it. There are people just like them. The next day, they played with their dolls and laughed as they wished in their fluffy pink blanket. The other kids' words didn't hurt so much because they were proud of being two-spirit. Now Phoenix has friends who accept them for all that they are. So thank you for joining me and listening to the story. This is a story you might want to keep talking about with your families and see what thoughts and things come around the idea of being different and what it means to be yourself when you feel different from others.
Winston Churchill said, "We make a living by what we get, but we make a life by what we give." The life and the work of this fellowship are enriched by the gifts that you all are able to offer. You offer companionship, caring, time, food, talents, especially the talents that made that amazing dinner last night. And yes, even your money. So please give generously in whatever fashion you are able to support and sustain the UUF. And if this is your first visit, please feel free to let the baskets pass you by. Your presence is a gift to us. And now a short reading. These words are from the writing of Ibram X. Kendi. We cannot be anti-racist if we are homophobic or transphobic. All Black lives include those of poor transgender Black women, perhaps the most violated and oppressed of all the Black intersectional groups. And now we'll sing our second hymn, "There is More Love Somewhere." This is a zipper hint, so once you learn the tune, you just substitute in the next word.
Hey. Have you done your homework? Have you researched what's known about the science of sex, gender, and transgender biology? Have you had a conversation about transgender issues with even one transgender person? I've been known to shout these questions at my computer when I'm reading ignorant stuff online. Physician Gerald Jampolsky famously said, "Love is letting go of fear." And his book by that name was a bestseller a few decades ago. We often fear what's new or foreign to us. And as you probably know, the UUA's new Article 2 puts love at the center of our core value. So this is a sermon about love, about using knowledge to help us let go of fear about sex and gender and turn decisively towards love. In 2007, Mahmoud Ahmadinejad, president of Iran, gave a speech at Columbia University in which he declared, quote, "In Iran, we don't have homosexuals like in your country." Yeah, it's laughable, right? He said that in response to a question about Amnesty International's report that 200 homosexuals were executed in Iran that year alone. In December of 2024, really just a few months ago, Harry Potter author J.K. Rowling declared on Twitter, quote, "There are no trans kids. No child is born in the wrong body." Well, I happen to know a child, not this one, but close. I'm talking about the child of a personal friend who is now 6 or 7 years old. And at birth, this child was a boy by all appearances and was given a boy's name. Almost as soon as this child could talk, she began correcting her parents, insisting that she was not a boy but a girl, insisting on she, her pronouns, and consistently choosing feminine clothing. Thankfully, her parents didn't resist, but they also didn't encourage it. This child was crystal clear about who she is from the very beginning. Also, thankfully, the parents weren't aware that J.K. Rowling thinks their child doesn't exist. In researching for this service, I encountered an essay titled, "No, Trans is Not the New Gay." And among other things, the essay says, quote, "There have always been gay people. There haven't always been trans people," end quote. Well, my eyebrows went up because I already knew about Bædlings. Bædling is an old English term whose precise definition isn't known. But from context, it's clear that it meant something like queer, but also different from homosexual. These were women who lived as men and vice versa. In the Middle Ages, in England. When European colonizers came to the Americas, they labeled some of the indigenous people they encountered Bædash, meaning a person who assumes the dress and social status and gender role of the other sex. And this term is not a compliment. Most Native American scholars today prefer the term two-spirit, although that's a little controversial too, because it erases all the nuances in how two-spirit people were accommodated by different indigenous cultures. Jesuit missionary records indicate that two-spirit people were encountered in many, many indigenous North American cultures. So it's simply not true that transgender people are something new. Transgenderism feels new to us for the same reason that Ahmadinejad thinks there are no gays in Iran. Coming out has been profoundly dangerous for trans people. When it comes to questions of sex and gender, there is a lot of misinformation cluttering up the social media landscape. So I want to clear up a few things that you may not know, starting with biological sex, which is the sex of your body. And gender is different from sex, and that's part of what's new and frightening for people. Here is a lovely bit of misinformation. We all learned this in high school biology, right? Simple, straightforward, and wrong. Mind you, I'm not offended by it any more than I'm offended by this, you know. Hashtag, oh well. No, the problem with this is that it's mostly correct most of the time. Just like this is mostly correct most of the time. It becomes wrong when we do this to it. Did it come up? Yes. So let's get into the genetics. There's a simple experiment that we used to do routinely in high school biology classes. You scrape some cells from the inside of your cheek, you put them on a microscope slide with some stain, and you see something like what's on the screen now. In any one cell, there can only be one X chromosome active at a time. Only one X in a cell. So in cells that have more than one X, like in most human females, one of them gets curled up into an inactive little speck called a bar body. And typically, girls have bar bodies and boys don't. It was a great hands-on way to introduce kids to genetics, especially the sex chromosomes, the X and Y. And the reason I say we used to do this is because all too often, a boy's cheek cells would have bar bodies, or a girl's cells wouldn't have bar bodies. And you know, third period biology class is just not the best time and place for a girl to learn that she's XY and a boy to learn that he's XX, right? To explore how this happens, let's begin with cats. And I have to credit Miles, Dr. Miles McGovney. He's a member of our they are a member of our church in Harrisburg. And Miles explained this to Anne and me, and that's part of what prompted this service, the creation of this service. All right, cats. What I'm about to describe is called sex linkage, where a genetic trait like fur color in cats is carried on the same chromosomes that also usually determine our sex. Most orange cats are male, and most calicos are female. And this is because the gene for fur color is on the X chromosome. And that gene can be orange or it can be black. The Y chromosome has no gene for fur color, so it's all on the X. So here are all the common combinations. Most males with only one X chromosome are one color or the other. Females with two X chromosomes can be a mixture, right? Calico. Fine. No mystery, except there are male calicos. Anybody know a male calico? Anyone ever seen one? You? How does that happen? Well, sometimes a sperm or egg gets two sex chromosomes. So after conception, the baby has 3 sex chromosomes. Male calicos are XXY. You might wonder if XXY is male or female because, they have 2 X's, which might make a female, but you also have a Y in there, which might make a male. I'll explain that in a minute. But first I need to say that the opposite can happen too. You can end up with no sex chromosome from one of the parents. And when that happens, you get something like this. Yeah, the Y chromosome doesn't have enough information to make an organism. So this is why a simple high school biology experiment can reveal an intersex condition, even in people. In spite of the word syndrome, there are normal human beings out there that are XXY and XO. XXY kids are usually males, and it's usually discovered at puberty, when it is discovered at all. Any effects of being XXY are often undetectable. And the medical system doesn't test routinely for this, so the prevalence in humans is unknown. But we know it's at least 1 in every 500 people who were assigned male at birth. These boys have bar bodies under the microscope. Girls with 1X and no Y are diagnosed more often because they tend to show features like small chins, low hairlines, weak hearts, big ears, but not always. And these girls don't have bar bodies because they have only 1 X chromosome in each cell. So as you can see, this overly simplified meme leaves a lot to be desired. But biological sex isn't actually based on chromosomes at all. It's primarily governed by one single gene, the SRY gene, which is usually on the Y chromosome. Now, there's a lot of confusing text on this slide, so for now, just ignore it and listen. Embryos all start out with the same protogenitals, like up at the top of the slide there. That yellow thing at the top can grow into the glands of a penis or into a clitoris. The purple bit can become the shaft of a penis or the inner labia of a vulva. The blue part can turn itself into a scrotum or the outer labia. Which path it takes during gestation depends on the presence of the SRY protein, which is made by the SRY gene, which is usually on the Y chromosome. When that protein is around while the baby is developing, the cells take the path that leads to male anatomy. Follow that? The reason I say the SRY is usually on the Y chromosome is because during cell division to make sperm or eggs, it sometimes crosses over onto the X. And that leads to the development of an XX person with male parts because they have the SRY gene. They are fully male because the SRY gene was present during their development. Just as often, you have a Y chromosome with no SRY gene, leading to the development of an XY person that's fully biologically female. Doctors don't test kids to see what chromosomes they have unless there's a problem. XY females and XX males don't have symptoms. So the prevalence of this, again, the prevalence of these crossovers is just unknown. It could be you. And the point is, we don't need to know because there's nothing to see here. Nothing is wrong with these people. The only thing wrong is memes like this one, if understood as anything other than how things usually work. Deviations from what's usual are still completely normal and natural. There are lots of ways babies can develop in the womb that lead to normal, healthy people with features of both sexes, or missing some feature. Testicles where ovaries usually are, penis-sized clitorises, vaginas without a uterus, and so on. Lots of different factors come into play during development. The stigma around not fitting into our binary either-or beliefs about biological sex has prevented us from even knowing about them. Like gay people in Iran. This is why we have to put love at the center of our lives, our political, social, and spiritual lives. Intersex biology may be new, complex, a little unsettling, but it's all still completely normal and natural. Biological sex is not binary. It's a gumbo of traits and parts and hormones and developmental paths. And people everywhere in that gumbo are inherently worthy of love and respect and full civil rights. It is reasonable to have a conversation about fairness in sports when we have decided, we've chosen to divide humanity's bell curve into two categories using gender instead of, say, height or bone mass or natural hormone levels. I don't know if you can see this, it's a little confusing. Almost all of us are in the green or the reddish bell curve over there. The one on the right is NBA players. You know, we could have decided the leagues are by height instead of by gender, but so we did. I don't know what's going to happen with women's sports, or even really what should happen. But I am sure that you can't use either genitals or sex chromosomes as a test for biological sex. They don't work. I also know that there are more news articles about transgender athletes than there are transgender athletes in the New York Times alone. Fear is a means of control. And the newness of our science makes us prone to weaponizing our fear, like in this meme. Just look at that girl's face. They chose this exact photo for a reason. I hope you haven't seen this before. Awful as it is, there's a surprising backstory that's deliberately missing from this meme. This is indeed two high school wrestlers competing in the girls' wrestling league. But here's the thing. Both were assigned female at birth. The one on top is not a trans woman, as the meme implies. He's not a biological male beating up on biological females. He's a trans man named Mac Beggs. He wanted to compete in the boys' league, but the rules in Texas require high school athletes to compete according to the sex on their birth certificates. He won the Texas Girls State Wrestling Championship in 2017 and then again in 2018. And some people who hadn't done their homework cried foul about it. The controversy is that Beggs was taking testosterone at the time, under medical care for transition from female to male. Critics of his wrestling wins call that doping. However, he deliberately took a lower dose than is medically recommended for transition from female to male, so as to stay below the levels that would even count as doping. Minuscule amounts. Now, 26 Beggs is a professional wrestler, but this misleading meme is still making the rounds on social media. You may have noticed that I jumped from biological sex to transgender issues. They're related, but they're not quite the same, and neither one is a binary. The genetics of biological sex, as complex as they are are pretty well known. Keep in mind that I barely scratched the surface. There are lots of other hormonal and genetic factors during fetal development that can lead to lots of varieties of intersex expression by the time of birth. The origins of gender are far more complex and mysterious than sex, which helps explain why it's still so controversial. Gender is how we perceive ourselves in relation to social norms, roles, and behaviors. When gender and sex are different, it often causes gender dysphoria. I'm sure you've heard that term before. And none of this should still be controversial, even given the unknowns. Here is a list of professional organizations that, quote, recognize the medical necessity of treatments for gender dysphoria and endorse such treatments. Hardly fringe, hardly a political ideology. What we do know is way more than can be covered in one sitting, but I want to touch on just a few of the known factors regarding gender development. First, some terms. This will probably be a review for a lot of you. Cis and trans are terms borrowed from organic chemistry. If you have no gender dysphoria, you're probably cis. With dysphoria, probably trans. So I am a cis man. Tennis champion Renee Richards is a trans woman. At the risk of overly criticizing my own slide, even this is overly binary. There are many ways to perceive one's gender, like agender, genderqueer, gender fluid. The terms AMAB and AFAB refer to what's on your birth certificate, which until recently was always either male or female. And as you now know, it may be different from your actual biological sex. I'm AMAB, and so is Renee Richards. Twin and family studies suggest a possible genetic factor in gender separate from biological sex, although no specific genes have been identified just yet. Prenatal exposure to estrogen mimicking chemicals in the environment is thought to influence brain development, but we just really don't know yet. The brains of cis men and cis women show slight differences in structure and activity. These differences are minor, but AI systems can identify someone's sex about 90% of the time using only a brain scan. So with that background, transgender people's brains often look and work more like those of their gender than like their sex that was assigned at birth, but not always. Respecting the inherent worth and dignity of trans people is important because the rate of attempted suicide among trans people is 40% in the United States, compared with 0.6% among adults generally. A note about pronouns. I know they can seem like a distraction from issues that feel more important. I also know that if somebody consistently referred to me as she and her, that would get old really fast. I also know that transgender youth who have their pronouns respected attempt suicide at half the rate of those who do not have their pronouns respected. If even one part of their lives, whether it's at home or school or church, if one context in their lives honors their chosen name, it decreases suicidal ideation by 29% and suicide attempts by 56%. Dr. McGovney tells me that the most effective medicine for decreasing suicide rates in people with depression generally is lithium, with an effectiveness rate of 13%. So using the respectful pronouns and names of transgender people is a powerful medical intervention. The last time Ann and I visited my friend, his child had the entire living room floor covered with Legos. She wore a ouch. And they do take off their shoes at their house. She wore a t-shirt and jeans with a tutu over the pants. She ran around the house wanting us to see how fast she was and excitedly telling us all about the 3D printer that she and her dad were building things with. And I admit, I was looking for clues about this child's mind regarding gender roles. And of course, her joyful spirit reminded me that a trans girl need not be limited by my stereotypes, right? She loves what she loves, period. It is possible that her perceptions of her gender may change at puberty or never. Does it really matter? As Mr. Rogers said to open our service, to love someone is to strive to accept that person exactly the way he, she, they, z, or e is right here and now. I plan to continue loving her and her family as she grows and matures. I think love demands no less. May it be so. Will you rise and join in singing Come and Go With Me, number 1018, looking at the red. Let us remember that keeping love at the center sometimes means digesting and sharing some new and surprising truths. May our commitment to the inherent worth of every person inspire us to marry love with knowledge, so wisdom can be born within us. Let us go in peace, go in love, and go together.
This is what the community is buying from the community center. To be carried in our services, right? And that's good. Cool. It's good. Okay.